Okay, class, so now we will start our next new chapter, that is chapter number 9, Reproduction in Animals. So, do you recall the process of digestion, circulation, and respiration which you have studied in your previous classes? These processes are essential for the survival of every individual. You have also learned about the process of reproduction in plants. Reproduction is essential for the continuation of a species. Imagine what would have happened if organisms had not reproduced. You will realize that reproduction is very important as it ensures the continuation of similar kind of individuals generations after generations. You have learned in your previous class about reproduction in plants. In this chapter, we shall learn how reproduction takes place in animals. So the first topic is mode of reproduction. Have you seen the young ones of different animals? You must have also seen the young ones of various animals being born. Can you tell how chicks and caterpillar are born? How kittens and puppies are born? Do you think that these young ones looked the same before they were born as they do now? Let us find it out. So, just as in plants, there are two modes by which animals reproduce. These are sexual reproduction and number two, asexual reproduction. So first we are going to try to discuss about sexual reproduction. So try to recall the reproduction in plants which you studied in class 7. You will remember that plants that reproduce sexually have male and female reproductive parts. In animals also, males and females have different reproductive parts or organs. Like plants, the reproductive parts of animals also produce gametes that fuse to form zygote. It is the zygote which develops into a new individual. This type of reproduction, beginning from the fusion of a male and female gamete, is called sexual reproduction. Now class, we will be discussing about the major reproductive organs of male and female. So the first topic is male reproductive organs. The male reproductive organs include a pair of testes, which is singularly known as testis, two sperm ducts, and a penis. The testis produces the male gametes called sperms. Millions of sperms are produced by the testes. Those sperms are very small in size. Each has a head, a middle piece, and a tail. Does it appear to be a single cell? Indeed. Each of the sperm is a single cell with all the usual cell components. Now coming to the female reproductive part, the female reproductive organ are a pair of ovaries, oviducts, which is also known as fallopian tubes, and the uterus. Ovary produces female gametes called ova or eggs. In human beings, a single matured egg is released into the oviduct by one of the ovaries every month. Uterus is the part where development of the baby takes place. Like the sperm, an egg is also a single cell. Now coming to the next topic, that is fertilization. The first step in the process of reproduction is the fusion of male and an ovum. When sperms come in contact with an egg, one of the sperms may fuse with the egg. Such fusion of the egg and the sperm is called fertilization. During fertilization, the nuclei of the sperm and the egg fuse to form a single nucleus. This results in the formation of a fertilized egg or zygote. Did you know that the zygote is the beginning of a new individual? The process of fertilization is the meeting of an egg cell from the mother and a sperm cell from the father. So the new individual inherits some characteristic from the mother and some from the father. Fertilization which take place inside the female body is called internal fertilization. Internal fertilization occur in many animals including humans, cows, dogs and hens. You will be surprised to know that many animals fertilization take place outside the body of the female. In these animals, fertilization takes place in water. Let us find out how this happens. During spring or rainy season, frogs and toads move to pond and slow flowing streams. When the male and female come together in water, the female lays hundreds of eggs. Unlike hen's eggs, frog's eggs is not covered by a shell and it is comparatively very delicate. A layer of jelly holds the eggs together and provides protection to the eggs. As the eggs are laid, the male deposits sperms over them. Each sperm swims randomly in water with the help of its long tail. The sperm come in contact with the eggs. This results in fertilization. This type of fertilization, in which the fusion of a male and a female gamete take place outside the body of the female, is called external fertilization. It is very common in aquatic animals such as fish, starfish, etc. Now coming to the next topic class, that is the development of the embryo. Now fertilization results in the formation of zygote which began to develop into an embryo. The zygote divides repeatedly to give rise to a ball of cells. The cells then begin to form groups that develop into different tissues and organs of the body. This developing structure is termed as embryo. The embryo gets embedded in the wall of the uterus for the further development. The embryo continues to develop in the uterus. It gradually develops the body parts such as hands, legs, head, eyes, ears, etc. The stage of the embryo in which all the body parts can be identified is called the fetus. When the development of the fetus is complete, the mother gives birth to a baby. Internal fertilization take place in hens also, but do hens give birth to the babies like human beings and cows? No. Soon after fertilization, the zygote divides repeatedly and travels down the oviduct. As it travels down, many protective layers are formed around it. The hard shell that you see in hen's egg is one such protective layer. After the hard shell is formed around the developing embryo, a hen finally lays the egg. The embryo takes about 3 weeks to develop into a chick. You must have seen the hen sitting on the eggs to provide sufficient warmth. Did you know that development of the chick takes place inside the eggshell during this period? After the chick is completely developed, it bursts open the eggshell. In animals which undergo external fertilization, development of the embryo takes place outside the female body. The embryos continue to grow within their egg coverings. After the embryos develop, the eggs hatch. You must have seen numerous tadpoles swimming in ponds and streams. Now class, we will be discussing about two different topics. One is viviparous and one is oviparous. Now we have learned that some animals give birth to young ones, while some animals lay eggs which later develop into young ones. The animals which give birth to young ones are called viviparous animals. Those animals which lay eggs are called oviparous animals. The eggs of few animals are easy to collect because their mothers lay them outside their bodies. These animals from which you have collected the eggs are the examples of oviparous animals. But you would not be able to collect eggs of dog, cow, or cat. This is because they do not lay eggs. The mother gives birth to the young ones. These are the example of viviparous animals. Now class, coming to the next topic, that is young ones to adult, how the development take place. Okay. The new individuals which are born or hatched from the eggs continue to grow till they become adults. In some animals, the young ones may look very different from the adult. Recall the life cycle of silkworm, that is from egg to larva or caterpillar, then to pupa, then it becomes adult. You studied in class 7. Frog is another such example. Now observe the different stages of frog starting from the egg to the adult stage. We find that there are three distinct stages, that is egg, tadpole, that is larva, and adult. Don't the tadpoles look different from the adults? Similarly, the caterpillar or the pupa of the silkworm looks different from the adult moth. The features that are present in the adult were not found in these young ones. Then what happens to the tadpoles or caterpillars thereafter? You must have seen a beautiful moth emerging out of the cocoon. In the case of tadpoles, they transform into adult capable of jumping and swimming. The transformation of larva into an adult through drastic changes is called metamorphosis. So class, metamorphosis is the process where a small young one changes into an adult, and this change involves some pretty difficult type of changes, changing the whole body, you can say, okay, to become an adult one. That process is known as metamorphosis. Now coming to the next topic, that is asexual reproduction. So far we have learnt about the reproduction in some familiar animals, but what about very small animals like hydra and microscopic organisms like amoeba? Do you know how they reproduce? Let's find it out. In each hydra there may be one or more bulges. These bulges are the developing new individuals and they are called buds. Recall the presence of buds in yeast. In hydra too, the new individuals develop as outgrowth from a single parent. This type of reproduction in which only a single parent is involved is called asexual reproduction. Since new individuals develop from the buds in hydra, this type of asexual reproduction is called budding. Another method of asexual reproduction is observed in the microscopic organism amoeba. You have already learned about the structure of amoeba. You will recall that amoeba is a single-celled organism. It begins the process of reproduction by division of its nucleus into two nuclei. This is followed by the division of its body into two, each part receiving a nucleus. Finally, two amoebae are produced from one parent amoeba. This type of asexual reproduction, in which an animal reproduces by dividing into two individuals, is called binary fission. Apart from the budding and binary fission, there are other methods by which a single parent reproduces the young ones. So class, here we complete our whole chapter. I hope that all of you have understood it well. That's all for today's class. Thank you class.